Malcolm X called him the greatest black man who ever walked the African continent, while Belgium and the US plotted his assassination. His name was Patrice Lumumba, the first Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo. He is considered by many a martyred hero, a symbol of anti-imperialism and Pan-African unity. This is the story of how Lumumba came to power, dreaming of a better future for the Congo and Africa, and how that dream quickly turned into a nightmare as he was arrested and murdered in January of 1961, less than 7 months after independence.
La République du Congo a été proclamée et notre pays est maintenant entre les mains de ses propres enfants. Nous allons établir ensemble la justice sociale et assurer que les terres de notre patrie profitent véritablement à ses enfants. Voilà, sire, Excellences, Mesdames, Messieurs, mes chers compatriotes, mes frères de lutte, mes frères de race, voilà ce que j'ai voulu vous dire. Vive l'indépendance de l'unité africaine, vive le Congo indépendant et souverain.
Lumumba was born in 1925 in the village of Onalua in Kasai province in the Congo. At the time his country, the DRC, was a Belgian colony, the Belgian Congo. He was a member of the small Batetela ethnic group. Young Lumumba attended a Protestant mission school. After that, he went on to work in the city of Kindu-Port-Empain, where he began to write essays and poems for Congolese journals. Lumumba at the time actually applied for and received Belgian citizenship, after which he moved to the capital Léopoldville, now known as Kinshasa. He started working as a postal clerk and went on to become an accountant in the post office in Stanleyville, now known as Kisangani. During this time, he was still actively contributing to the Congolese press. His entry into politics started at the grassroots level. In 1955, Lumumba became regional president of a Congolese trade union of government employees, as well as an active member of the Belgian Liberal Party in the Congo. The trade union he was running was not affiliated to the two main Belgian federations, much to the ire of Belgium's colonial administrators. In 1956, he was invited by the Ministry of Colonies to a study tour in Belgium, which he attended only to be arrested upon his arrival back to the Congo, with charges of embezzling money from the post office. He served a 12-month sentence, and once free, Lumumba launched the Congolese National Movement, or the MNC, the first nationwide political party in the Congo. In 1958, the same year he launched this party, Lumumba attended the first All-African People's Conference in Accra, Ghana. His vision and Pan-African vocabulary impressed the gathering and turned eyes across the continent. Taking notice of the nationalist fervor on the rise across Africa, and with anti-colonial independence struggles at full throttle, the Belgian government announced local elections in December 1959. Lumumba's MNC wanted to boycott the race, deeming it an illegitimate Belgian attempt at installing a puppet government. Many Congolese boycotted in protest, and the Belgian authorities responded with repression. 30 Congolese were killed in Stanleyville, Kisangani, and Lumumba was arrested on charges of inciting a riot. The MNC changed its tactics and decided to join the election race. They claimed a sweeping victory with 90% of the vote and demanded the release of Lumumba in order to discuss the formation of a government and national independence. Their demands were met, and Lumumba became the first prime minister of his country in 1960. On Independence Day, while the King of Belgium was attending and the world was watching, Lumumba delivered a powerful speech that would live on as a benchmark for the anti-imperial struggle in Africa and the world.
L'indépendance du Congo, si elle est proclamée aujourd'hui dans l'entente avec la Belgique, pays ami, avec qui nous traitons d'égal à égal, nul Congolais digne de ce nom ne pourra jamais oublier que c'est par la lutte qu'elle a été conquise. Une lutte dans laquelle nous n'avons ménagé ni nos forces, ni nos privations, ni nos souffrances, ni notre sang.
Immediately after Congolese independence and the start of Lumumba's prime ministership, units of the army rebelled, largely because of objections to their Belgian commander. Belgium sent in 6,000 troops, announcing that they were in place for the protection of Belgian nationals in the country. A day later, a man named Moise Tshombe took advantage of the power struggle and proclaimed the secession of the mineral-rich province of Katanga from the Congo, with support from the Belgian government and mining companies. In reality, it was a treacherous move. The Belgian troops protected and supported Tshombe's rebellion. They had moved in to secure its colonial cash cow and undermine Lumumba's rule. Running out of options, Lumumba reached out to the United Nations to expel Belgian forces and help restore internal order. Lumumba requested UN troops to suppress the rebellion in Katanga, but the UN forces were not authorized to do so under their mandate. The United States and France also refused to budge. Frustrated with the West, Lumumba tilted the balance and reached out to the Soviet Union. requesting planes to fly his army to Katanga. Lumumba, a skilled statesman, also assembled African heads of state in Léopoldville, Kinshasa, asking for their full support in his efforts to quell the rebellion and unify the DRC. Lumumba's ambition was to free the Congo and Africa of foreign colonial influence. He advocated a theory of positive neutralism, meaning that his administration would focus on returning to African values rather than using any imported ideology from the East or the West. But by turning to the Soviet Union, he had now crossed the Cold War red line, and the presence of Soviet military in the heart of Africa, gaining influence in a resource-rich country, made Western powers uncomfortable. To put it in perspective, the US had actually used uranium from the Congo when it dropped bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So the Congo was very important for the US and its Western allies. But Lumumba's problems did not end there. Internally, he was up against President Kasavubu, who did not approve of Lumumba's actions and wanted a moderate, pro-Western approach and policy. The president fired Lumumba from his position on the 5th of September 1960, after less than 3 months in power, and placed him under house arrest. Lumumba rejected the dismissal on legal grounds, and the two were trapped in a power struggle. A few days later, Army General Mobutu Sese Seko, backed by Belgium and the USA, stepped in and took control of the government. Mobutu reached a working agreement with Kasavubu, and the UN had decided to recognize the legitimacy of the Kasavubu-Mobutu government. When Lumumba tried to escape home confinement, Mobutu had Lumumba arrested again and sent him to Katanga's secessionist forces. Lumumba, alongside two of his associates, Joseph Okito and Maurice Mpolo, were treated deplorably while being held captive. Eventually, on 17th January 1961, the three men were executed by a firing squad with the full knowledge and collaboration of the Belgians. Initially, their bodies were thrown in shallow graves, but later, under the direction of Belgian officers, the bodies were dug up, hacked into pieces, and dissolved in acid. The Katangan government initially tried to hide his death and provide a fake version of events. Their version was quickly disputed, but it took decades to provide the proof of what had happened. Lumumba's death was a shock for Africa and the global anti-colonial movement. In 2002, Belgium apologized to the Congolese people for its role in Lumumba's assassination. In 2013, the US State Department admitted that President Dwight Eisenhower had authorized Lumumba's murder, but said the plan was not carried out. In addition, records show that French diplomats in Africa at the time of Lumumba's murder were calling directly for the elimination of the Congolese leader. And so, there is no way around the fact that there was Western involvement in his assassination, and at the highest level. His death still haunts Congo today, but his legacy lives on, whether it is through references in popular culture, such as rap music, film and theater. There's even a public square in Belgium in his name. Lumumba will forever be remembered as one of the fathers of independence of the Congo, one of the most visionary African leaders, and the man who did not shy away from defying and challenging colonialism, not for his sake, but the sake of his people. A nobility that cost him his life.